The day my life collapsed started like any other morning. I woke up to missed calls, unread messages, and a knock so loud it rattled the door. When I opened it, I was met by uniformed officers who spoke my name with suspicion already etched into their voices. They said I was a suspect in a crime I had never committed. As cold metal cuffs closed around my wrists, one question screamed inside my head: who would do this to me? I didn't know yet that the answer would hurt more than the accusation itself. Growing up, my sibling and I were inseparable, or so I thought. We shared rooms, secrets, and dreams whispered late at night. To outsiders, we were the perfect pair. But beneath the surface, there were moments I ignored. The quiet competitiveness, the passive comments masked as jokes, the way every achievement of mine was followed by their silence. I dismissed it as harmless rivalry. I never imagined those small cracks were warning signs of something darker forming. As we grew older, life began to favor me in ways it didn't favor them. I found opportunities, built connections, and slowly gained independence. Instead of celebrating with me, my sibling began to withdraw. Their support felt forced, their smiles rehearsed. They asked too many questions about my plans, my finances, my digital accounts. I thought it was curiosity. In hindsight, it was surveillance. Jealousy doesn't always scream. It whispers, waits, and learns before it strikes. The manipulation was subtle at first. They'd twist conversations when repeating them to others, making me sound arrogant or careless. They'd forget important details that protected my image while exaggerating my mistakes. Family gatherings became uncomfortable, and I couldn't understand why. I was slowly being painted as unreliable, unstable, and reckless, one story at a time. The worst part? I trusted them completely. I never defended myself because I never thought I'd need to. The real shock came when a close friend confronted me about something I supposedly said, something cruel and damaging. I denied it, confused, until they showed me screenshots from an account bearing my name. The writing style was close enough to be believable. My heart sank. Only one person had access to my devices during that time. When I confronted my sibling gently, they acted offended. I apologized. That apology would cost me everything. Weeks later, a serious crime occurred, one involving money, forged records, and digital transactions. My name was everywhere. The evidence was airtight: emails sent from my account, logs from my devices, witnesses who claimed I had motive. I was stunned by the precision. This wasn't impulsive. It was carefully planned. Someone had studied my habits, my weaknesses, my digital footprint. Someone who lived with me. Someone who knew me better than anyone else. My sibling had used modern tools masterfully, spoofed IP addresses, scheduled messages, manipulated metadata. They planted files on shared devices and deleted their own tracks. To investigators, it looked like I had done everything myself. To my family, it looked even worse. Silence replaced support. No one asked if I was innocent. They asked how I could shame them so deeply. In one night, I went from trusted child to family disgrace. The isolation was suffocating. Calls went unanswered. My name became something whispered, not spoken. Even at home, I felt like an intruder. My sibling played the role of the concerned family member perfectly, bringing water, offering prayers, shaking their heads sadly. Watching them perform empathy while destroying me from within was a kind of torture. The justice system doesn't care about family bonds. It cares about evidence. I was forced to defend myself against a case built by someone who knew every move I'd ever make. Lawyers spoke in cold terms. Timelines blurred. Sleep became impossible. I began to question my own memory, my own sanity. That's what betrayal does. It destabilizes your sense of reality. Just when I began to lose hope, a few people stood firm. A childhood friend who knew my character. A tech consultant who noticed inconsistencies others missed. They didn't have power, but they had belief, and sometimes that's enough to keep you alive. Together, We began pulling at loose threads in the story that had trapped me. The first crack appeared in the timestamps. One transaction occurred while I was verifiably somewhere else. Another file showed signs of being transferred, not created. These were small details, but they mattered. Slowly, the perfect story began to unravel. Every discovery pointed not just away from me, but towards someone with intimate access to my life. The turning point came when investigators uncovered a backup log my sibling didn't know existed, one that recorded remote access attempts. Their device appeared repeatedly, always minutes before incriminating actions tied to my name. When confronted, they froze. For the first time, the mask slipped. Silence filled the room heavier than any confession. Under pressure, the truth spilled out in fragments. Jealousy, resentment, a belief that if they couldn't have my life, I shouldn't either. They never intended it to go so far, they said. But betrayal doesn't measure consequences, it only cares about control. Charges against me were dropped. Charges against them followed. Freedom didn't feel like victory. It felt hollow. My name was cleared on paper, but not in every heart. Some wounds don't heal with facts. They linger in looks, pauses, and unspoken doubts. Trust, once shattered, doesn't return whole. I confronted my sibling one last time, not for answers, but for closure. I didn't get it. They cried, blamed circumstances, blamed me. I realized then that understanding their motive wouldn't bring peace. Letting go would. The trauma followed me everywhere. I double-checked locks, passwords, conversations. I struggled with paranoia and grief for the family I thought I had. Healing wasn't linear. Some days I felt strong. Other days, broken. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. New boundaries, new routines, new trust built carefully, brick by brick. Therapy helped. Distance helped. Time helped most of all. I learned that toxicity doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it grows in familiar spaces. Pay attention to patterns. Protect your digital life. Question what feels off, even when it comes from blood. If you're watching this and something feels familiar, don't ignore it. Manipulation thrives on silence. Speak early. Document everything. Trust your instincts. They exist for a reason. This wasn't just a story about false charges. It was a story about survival, about reclaiming a life stolen by betrayal, and about learning that resilience isn't loud. It's the quiet decision to keep going, even when the people meant to protect you become the ones you must survive.